Hey everybody, this is Dominic, and this is my behavior change project focused on improving my training mindset. So, some background about me: I've been very obsessed with training my vertical jump since I was 18, so coming up on 10 years of doing that. I've been pretty dedicated to it. I'm pretty consistent with my lifting. I do 2 lower body lifts a week and 2 upper body lifts a week, and I do 1 jump session a week. And then on the 2 days that I take off, I do try and walk and get some movement in. But really, it's just something I've been super passionate about, and I'm very dedicated to it. So the commitment to exercise hasn't been an issue, but the reason I'm doing this project is because earlier this year and at the start of 2024, I was really starting to see a big change in my jump. I was starting to jump higher more consistently, but my only issue was my mindset was very negative. Like, I wasn't satisfied a lot of times. I was always wanting more and more and more, not really focused on the present moment. Um, and even in the middle of this year, I got my first dunk, which you'll see on this next clip. And even on this, I was not very happy with it. I was happy for maybe like a couple seconds, and that sort of made me realize, like, man, like something needs to change. I'm not really in the moment with my training. I'm just very like um, goal oriented and not process oriented, which I think is very important when you need to stay disciplined and you want to train for something. So my main goal of the project was to use journaling to try and improve my training mindset. Um, Basically, to try and understand like where I'm thinking, and just to remove like emotional reactions to training, and just to stay grounded during my workouts. So my definition of success was completing daily journal entries, improving my awareness of mindset shifts, and reducing emotional spiraling on bad days, and also just remaining consistent with my outlook on training. So there was a handful of behavior change techniques that I used during this project. One was goal setting. So I had a clear goal. I was going to journal after each workout to improve my emotional regulation. I also used self monitoring. So my journal entries included 3 metrics: energy before workout, workout motivation, and workout outlook. And this helped me to track patterns, sort of detect when I was starting to get into a frustration cycle, and recognize some of my triggers towards these negative thoughts. Midway through the project, I also purchased a velocity based training device. This is completely unintentional, but it turned out to be a huge part of my self monitoring. So while I was writing my journal entries, I used cognitive restructuring and reflective practice. So I'd ask myself, what is actually bothering me today? What was in my control for that day? And why did I feel the way that I did during a session or a lift? And this sort of helped me to avoid spiraling and focus more on what I can control each session. And it really ended up helping a lot. So, some theoretical frameworks that I could link to this project: the social cognitive theory. So, self monitoring and reflection increase my self efficacy. For self determination theory, feeling more confident, more control with the velocity based training device improved my intrinsic motivation. So I wasn't just guessing; I was getting objective feedback from the device, and I knew if I could go faster, I would try to go faster, and if speeds were slower than usual, I would still try to go fast. But if it wasn't there, it wasn't there. I would just chalk it up to fatigue, stuff like that, so I could sort of see a pattern of when I was tired and not. So it was always great. And effective reflective theory, so trying to change my emotional reactions to performance helped me be more present and more willing to keep engaging when things weren't going my way. So an example of this was I was using the device one workout, and I was trying to do these power cleans here. And on the second rep, I just couldn't get under the bar. I couldn't even try to get under the bar, and I was like pretty disappointed. I was like, man, it was moving slow, I guess. But then when I look at the clip, I saw I was moving completely fast enough to get under. I just didn't commit to it. So I came in the second week completely motivated to just try and get under, even if I was going to fail, because I knew I was fast enough last week. So I just tried even harder, and I ended up getting it with 5 more pounds than the week before. So that was just an example of using the velocity based training device, and focusing on what I can control. So my journal had a 3 item rating system, which I just listed before. But I also took notes on my mood shifts, frustrations, and what helped or hurt me during a session. And then later on, I added the objective data with the bar speed tracking. I put jump session clips here, uh, but I was already filming myself consistently, filming my jump sessions, filming my lifts very consistently for about 4 years. I've been doing that. And it's something I think really helps. And I think a lot of people would benefit from it because you can slow down the clips, really hone in on your technique, and work on the little things that sometimes are hard to see in full speed. But the combination of the subjective and objective data made my reflections much more accurate. So I would say during this project, I met the core goals that I set. I journaled almost every workout. I only missed about 4 workouts, but that was because things were going so well. Like I wasn't even thinking about negative thoughts or my journaling. Like everything, just my brain was just empty. Right, I was just going so good. But then when things started to not go as well, I remembered, oh, yeah, I need to be journaling, and I instantly got back to journaling, and it pulled me to stay back on track with the project. So I would say my biggest success is I became a lot better at catching negative thoughts before they started to spiral, and I got a lot better at recognizing when I was frustrated by something I couldn't control, and then refocusing during a session and focusing on what I could control. That went a long way with this project. So there were some challenges and adjustments I had to make. So one of the challenges was that I was journaling too soon after workouts. Um, and if I wrote immediately after a session, sometimes my reflection would be biased because I was too emotional in the moment. So maybe I was having a really bad session and instantly I go to journal. I'm like, oh, it was terrible, blah, blah, blah. Same thing if I was overly positive. So the way I corrected this was I started journaling later, just to give myself more time to reflect on what happened. Sometimes I would even do it the next day just to give myself a mental reset because sometimes I'm just so like, I get so like honed in on the little things that I just can't think clearly. So sometimes I just need to sleep it off and then come back the next day and just write it when I was more level headed. So there was actually an unexpected challenge slash discovery that I had, which was an issue with my TFL. And I only realized this because I kept journaling about something feeling off in my hip or certain movements feeling restricted. And I sort of realized a pattern pointing to something wrong with my hip. So I pulled up old clips from when I remember feeling it. And this was in July. So I was getting up pretty easy with not a lot of effort. And I was like almost dunking with like maybe 80% effort. But as soon as I try to give 100% effort, something started feeling weird in my hip. Essentially, the way I would describe it is that it felt like my hip was giving out when I would try to plant. So then, after like 4 months, this is in November, this clip right here, and I'll even slow down. I have to slow down just to kind of show it. So on this jump, it's really hard to see in full speed, but when I plant right here with this foot through the floor, and you can see I'm starting to lower that hip a little bit. Something just felt off. It felt like I just couldn't push there, and it just felt very awkward. And even when watching it in full speed, it looked very strange. And this was a low rim too, so I was just like, man, something's not right. So then after this session here that I'm showing, I actually told my coaches about it, and I was like, hey, something just doesn't feel right in my hip. Like, I'm not sure what's going on. I sort of explained to them everything that I've been journaling about and when I started feeling it. Um, and they're like, hey, like, we think something is going on with your TFL. It kind of sounds like it's in the area of your TFL. And one of my coaches is actually a physical therapist, so he gave me some exercises to do. And they ended up really helping. Within 2 weeks, it pretty much cleared up. But I wouldn't have even figured out there was a problem if I hadn't been journaling. Um, so I was pretty happy about that. And I would say journaling has been the most effective technique I've used to try and improve my positivity during workouts. It helped me understand like my emotional triggers, hidden physical issues like my TFL, track patterns with my mindset, and just improve my patience with training, just being more present and being more willing um, to be okay with waiting for things that I want, right? So if I repeated this project, I'd probably add a lot more prompts to my journaling, more than just those three. Maybe sleep, maybe what I ate, just a bunch of other things, just to get it even more specific and more detailed. And I also would have used a velocity-based training from the beginning, or just maybe another method of making training more engaging. I can't really think of another way right now, but definitely researching things to make stuff more engaging. That always will help. So just to reflect on some of the theoretical frameworks that were used in this project, I'd say social cognitive theory helped, because my self-monitoring increased my awareness and self-efficacy. Self-determination theory, so the combination of journaling and the velocity-based training device enhanced my autonomy and competence during workouts, made my training more internally rewarding instead of anxiety-driven, which is great. And for effective reflective theory, the biggest improvement I saw with this was my change in my automatic emotional reaction to a bad workout or jump session. So I no longer spiral when I jump bad or lift bad. I just stay calm, assess the situation, and adjust for the next week or next workout. So, in conclusion, this shift in awareness definitely changed my emotional experience of training. And after identifying that TFL issue I was struggling with, I began to adjust my training around it. I stopped jumping scared or frustrated. I just tried to stay very present and focusing on what I can control for each session. So if I felt pain, I wasn't going to push it. If I didn't feel pain, I might push it a little more. And I even had a little workout where I was going to go jump, and I ended up playing more basketball. It's not really something I've done in the past 5 years a lot of, but it was something I do enjoy a lot, and it kind of revived that passion for basketball as well. And you can see I was able to jump no pain on this workout, and this was last week, so I was super happy with that. And so this moment wasn't just like physical improvement on that jump. It was also like a sign that the journaling worked. My mindset's a lot healthier, and I'm not trapped in that plateau mentality anymore. I'm just more present during my workouts and just more accepting of where I'm at on the given day. Um, yeah, and it didn't just improve my tracking. It just genuinely revived my passion in my performance, I would say. So thank you guys for watching. That's about it. Still feeling a lot healthier. Um, that clip was last week, and this most recent jump session I had, I was perfectly fine, didn't have any pain, and had a very good mindset. So I'm just really, really happy. Really enjoyed this project. Thank you guys for watching.